In 1939, war had broken out in Europe between the Allied and Axis powers. By late 1941, France had been defeated and the Soviet Union had joined the Allies, but the United States was still as neutral as they had been in the beginning of the previous war.
On December 7, 1941, the Japanese launched a surprise attack on the naval base at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. This was a direct act of war to the Americans, and we were soon deeply involved in this bloody conflict.
In this documentary, we follow one Navy veteran from his hometown in Michigan to the waters of the Atlantic and the Pacific and back again.
So when were you born?
11/16 of 1925. Lapeer, Michigan.
So do you have any favorite childhood memories?
Not particularly. The Depression time, it wasn't a real happy time.
During Jay's childhood, the United States had fallen victim to the Great Depression, a time of extremely low economic stability. Money and resources were tight for many families because many were out of a job.
Other parts of the world also suffered from economic instability, which was the leading cause of World War II and Hitler's rise to power.
When the war broke out, Jay was still a teenager and there wasn't much he could do. However, he enlisted in the Navy in 1943.
So when was it that you joined the military?
I joined the military in my senior year in high school. I joined in 1943.
Was there any particular reason that you chose the Navy?
Yes, I did. I had three older brothers that were all in the Army, and I had heard about their basic training, and I decided that I'd rather have clean sheets and good meals to eat instead of going through the Army routine.
Were you influenced by family and friends to make the decision that you did, or?
Well, also a group of us, about four of us in the senior class, volunteered at one time. We all chose the Navy, so it was kind of a group thing as well.
How long was your training, and where did you train?
I went to Farragut, Idaho. At that time, I believe it was 8 weeks boot camp.
Were there certain daily routines where you worked?
Yes, there was a definite wake-up time and a very definite time to go to bed. And the daytime was all scheduled with certain classes or certain maneuvers that we had to do. And the shots you had to get to, you had to take. No, my actual service started when I went in January of '44. Yes, I was in what they called the Navy Armed Guard. We were the gunners on the merchant ships. Our job was to stand watch against submarines and aircraft.
Did you have a ranking?
Seaman first class.
So what were the conditions like?
Conditions aboard the merchant ships was fine. How do I want to explain it? We had clean places to live and good food. Just that we were out to sea. We were living on a 100-yard long piece of steel, 40 feet wide and 100 yards long, and that's where you live. We didn't go for an afternoon walk.
So what did you most miss about home when you were away?
Well, you missed your family, your friends.
What body of water were you serving?
I was in both the Atlantic and Pacific, but more so in the Pacific. Through the canal twice, Panama Canal twice.
Although he spent some time in the Atlantic, Jay primarily served in the Pacific, where the war with Japan was being fought. Some key battles in this theater of war were the Battle of Midway, Iwo Jima, and Okinawa. Although these were United States victories, there were plenty of losses as well.
How long did you serve?
28 months. 24 months of that was sea.
How did your service change how you look at things?
I was taught to respect authority.
World War II officially ended with the surrender of the Japanese in September 1945, following the atomic bomb attacks on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
When did you return?
Get them up in 1945, right after they dropped the atomic bomb. Well, when I came back, I was out of high school. I was an adult. I had to find a job. The government paid for my education.
How did you adjust to life outside the military again?
There was no problem.
Did people treat you any differently when you came back?
Your question is different. I can understand why you asked it, but back then, World War II, there were so many of us coming back that it was just a normal thing. We didn't have any protesting or any of that type. Everybody was happy the war was over.
So do you have any advice toward people thinking about joining the military?
I think it's a very, very good thing for young boys and girls to experience.
Do you have thoughts on the treatment of veterans in the U.S.?
Well, I believe that anybody that's an honorably discharged veteran should be treated with respect. But again, they only did what most people should do, and that's serve their country.
We as a country have to understand that veterans have done good things for all of us simply by serving their country and the people in it. We owe them respect. There are memorials nationwide to help us remember their sacrifices for our country.